Alright. Oh man, I need to clean up in here. This place is just a mess. I got boxes all over the place. Okay, hey everybody, Tekking here. You know what? I was gonna give you a warning before I did this, but fuck it. Just gonna dive right in. You guys know how the intros go. This shouldn't be anything different. Everybody should be expecting how this is gonna go. Alright, okay, ready? 3, 2... Cringe Hasha! Tekking101! Henshin! Okay, who made it through that? Who's not dead? Alright, everyone alright? Oh no, Mike died. Mike's dead. Cringe cancer. Got him. Shit. Oh, no, Jim too. Jim and Dave. Son of a bitch. No, who else? Oh no, not Sarah. Sarah's dead. Aw, man. I like Sarah. I don't have a very big female audience to begin with. I wonder why. So I can't afford to lose you ladies. Shit. Alright, well, you know what? I think that's enough. I think that's enough cringe for one episode. We'll just skip the intro this week and get right into it. Alright, this'll be One Piece chapter 869. You know what? I could make a 69 joke, but I'm already tapped out for this episode. Under siege. Under the siege. When you're under the siege. Alright, let's just go. That was you can't follow up that shit with a fucking Little Mermaid joke. Like, what am I even doing at this point? Okay, so we got the cover story, and it's continuing on with the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, and we're moving on to the number 2 member, who is really the number 1 member, let's be honest. Bartolomeo and his pirate crew, the Barto Club, causing a ruckus in the New World. So we see them here heading to a new island. The inhabitants of their island, you know, one of them looks like a chicken man, actually. They're freaking out, you know, because they're like, oh no, these pirates are showing up, and it's like they're riding up, and I don't know if stereos exist in the One Piece world. They probably don't. I know tone dials do, but whatever they have, they're blasting that shit fucking up to 11, and they're just like, yeah, Barto Club, here to party! You know, I can imagine Bartolomeo and his group are just like those, you ever read, like, a manga or watch an anime where there's always, like, a group of thugs that are just, like, they have horrible facial features and tattoos, and they're just kind of dicks for no reason. You know, like I'm getting caught up on Hunter x Hunter right now, and I just read the chapter about Kurapika's backstory, and there was like a bunch of thugs around this town, like, where are you kids going, huh? Yeah, I would imagine that's like Bartolomeo, like his crew. They just roll into town, just kind of saunter around, and anybody that dares, you know, come up to them, and they're like, what are you looking at? We rule this town. Yeah, that kind of shit. But, you know, they're the first group of that little collective that I can view as endearing, at least. So we'll see where this goes. You know, I don't think they're going to do something stupid like kill people or burn the town down, you know. Maybe they'll adopt, you know, if they've ever done that kind of stuff before. You know, Luffy Senpai would never do that. So I think they're all just about, like, having fun and just acting like they're hot shit in a champagne glass, when in reality they're just like cold diarrhea in a Dixie cup. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, so we move forward to the Whole Cake Plateau, where we had unfortunately, there's not a giant mech battle this chapter. I mean, it sort of kind of sets up for one at the end, but from what we can see, that's probably not what we're going to get. We have Bege transforming into his big father, or his big daddy technique, as I like to call it, because that's just funnier. Giant castle looming over Big Mom. Big Mom is still letting out the death wail. No indication that that's going to end anytime soon. All the other members of the Big Mom Pirates, at least the heavy hitters, you know, Dogtooth created those little balls of mochi. I said they were jelly beans last chapter. No. Dogtooth uses jelly beans to attack. Mochi is his devil fruit ability. Yeah, just getting a little bit silly here, considering this is the design you're going with. I mean, he seems like such a badass. You wouldn't think that, like, jelly beans would be his main form of attack, but what are you gonna do? He creates the mochi balls, so everybody puts them in their ears, so now they can advance forward without worrying about, you know, succumbing to the scream. We also have one of the rulers of the underworld, Don Fell, that was his name, the guy with the salt and pepper hair and the glasses, and he's in the middle of all this nonsense, and he's about ready to pass out, but he notices that right next to Big Mom, kind of in the rubble, remember, she had all those treasure chests that she got for the tea party, you know, everyone was presenting her with these treasure chests, and amongst those was the Tametebako from Ryuga Castle. So he sees this, and he's like immediately realizes that this is like one of the most valuable pieces of treasures ever in existence, you know? So he grabs this and runs away with it. He puts the mochi earplugs in and runs off with it, attempting to open up the Tametebako. So, you know there's something that's going to go down with that. You know, I was worried that that was just going to be like a thing that was just kind of forgotten after the whole events of the rebellion take place, you know? But, no, this is clearly something that's going on here, and the Tametebako is going to play a role later on. What role that might be, I'm not sure, but obviously Oda has not forgotten about it. The last time, I think, like, wasn't it already explained that Hody and his crew already got the Tamatebako, and they opened it up and it was filled with those energy steroids, and then they took all of them, and then they were like, I think there was like a bomb that was placed in there by one of the ministers, the minister of the left or the right or something, and they didn't know it was in there or something. I don't really know what the whole deal of it was, but Big Mom ended up with the Tamatebako because Luffy and the gang gave them all the treasure, and so I think there's still an explosive device in there. If I'm not mistaken, that there should be a bomb. Whoever opens that should just get fucking destroyed, just killed immediately. But anyway, we cut over to see all the Straw Hats. You know, Luffy's of course freaking out. He sparkly eyes because, you know, not every day you see him a fucking gangster turn into a giant freaking castle. You know, I'll give it to you, Luffy. I'll give it to you. Even in that moment, I'd be like, oh my god, that is so freaking cool! But anyway, yeah, they all jump into the castle. Caesar and Brûlé are making their way in there too. Now, a lot of people have questioned, you know, wouldn't there be a mirror somewhere in Bege's castle? I mean, we've obviously seen the inside of Bege's castle before. He basically has a little pocket dimension inside of him that can be furnished to his liking. You know, he's the father, you know, so he clearly likes the finer things in life. He has a very decorative dining room and the coffee table and like suits of armor and everything. Obviously, he's got to have a very immaculate bathroom in there too. Although I don't know how that would work. I mean, I'm less concerned about Bege going to the bathroom in himself, and I'm more concerned about the members of his crew going into the bathroom inside of him. I didn't need to consider this point of view. Anyway, the point is, there's probably a mirror somewhere in the castle, right? So they could just use Brûlé's power and jump in the mirror. The problem there is, well, Bege himself probably wouldn't be able to go through it, but, you know, fuck him. But no, that whole thing is just thrown out the window immediately because Dogtooth reaches out, grabs Brûlé, and then just rips him right off of, you know, Caesar had her basically as a backpack. You know, she was been knapsacked inside of her. But yeah, Dogtooth just stretches out his arm with the mochi, grabs Brûlé, and rips the backpack right off Caesar's back. So now, oh shit, now there's simply no way they can get out of there. I mean, like I said, my flying castle theory is still up for debate, but I don't see Bege whipping out the rocket boosters quite yet. So I don't think that thing can I don't think that thing can get airborne. But yeah, so they do manage to get into the castle. We have, you know, Luffy and, you know, Bege's, you know, crew, the Fire Tank Pirates, they manage to get in there. Caesar manages to get in there. But then you have the Big Mom Pirates, and they're rocking toward him, and they're pretty badass, okay? And you see each one of the main commanders, or the main figures of the Big Mom Pirates begin to square off against various opponents. You have Charlotte Smoothie take a hold and grab Nami, although she's kind of a little bit seductive. She's got the tongue thing going on. Whenever she grabs her, she's like, come here, little girl. Can we get a fight with Smoothie? I think she's hot. I mean, I'm not even that much of a leg man, but come on now. I mean, you cannot resist those. And then we have Carrot that tries to spring in, but Daifuku's genie comes out and grabs her. Chopper tries to protect her. That's when Oven shows up and grabs Chopper. Very dangerous, considering we know that Oven can channel heat through his body. So grabbing Chopper's head like that, yo, there's gonna be fried reindeer on the freaking spit tonight, boys! But yeah, so Luffy looks over and sees like all the members of his crew getting, you know, picked off one by one, and it's like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do, motherfuckers! We're gonna cut over to the Vinsmoke table, where you see Sanji still looking all fleek and badass. You know, he's still standing up on the table, not a care in the world, smoking a cig. He just kind of glances over. He sees Chopper and Carrot and his beloved Nami Swan being attacked by the Big Mom Pirates, and he just kind of looks down at his dad and just kind of like, you fucking save him now, without a word being spoken, but you know that's what he's saying. And then Judgy's just kind of like, well, okay, fine. And then we proceed to have all the Vinsmoke family members whip out their little canisters, their things that contain their raid suits. You know, of course, the Vinsmoke family, they're adept at having high technology and and science. You know, Judgy, despite appearances, was a scientist that was at one point in league with Dr. Vegapunk. So that means, of course, you know, whereas Vegapunk was focusing on like chemical weapons and devil fruit research and all that shit, Judgy, I guess, was really a big fan of Super Sentai, figuring out a way to compress awesome battle suits that are fully equipped with weaponry inside little canisters. So, you know, each one of the Vinsmoke siblings, you know, you have Reiju, Ichiji, Niji, Yonji, as well as Judgy himself has a canister that just has a big J on it. And they whip them all out, they begin to spin, they begin to squirt a liquid all over. Oh god, okay. Okay. I mean, it's not like we haven't already considered doing that to Reiju, but you don't have to be so explicit about it, Oda. I mean, dear God. Well, at least we know she's a squirter. Dun 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 dun. Kaizoko Sentai Germa Double Six. I mean, come on now, that was fucking cool. And you also have to look at the little tiny, like, words that appear at the bottom of the pages. That's music. There's a musical tune. Okay? Do you know what this means? This is Sniper King on a whole other level. When we get to this scene in the goddamn anime, there is going to be a complete musical number composed and ready to go, a la Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, for the Germa Double Six transformation. And I cannot wait for that shit. That's gonna be probably over a year from now, but I cannot wait for that shit, man. That is gonna be awesome. And you know how the anime does the anime adds in extra fan service. Like, you know, even Carrot hasn't really had that much fan service in the manga, but in the anime, a little bit. Same thing with Reiju. When they had Reiju's introduction, there was a little bit more fan service there than in the manga. So you know, when they get to this scene in the anime, there's gonna be boobs, and you're gonna see, like, muscles from the Germa siblings. You gotta keep fan service going both ways. You know, females watch One Piece too. It's gonna be crazy, and I can't wait until that happens. But for right now, all we got is this badass double-page spread with the Germa in their battle suits ready to go. And you know what? Hey, that whole not having emotion thing, I mean, yeah, for the most part, it kind of sucks because Sanji's childhood and all that shit. But you also have to remember, they don't really hold grudges, you know. So in this situation, you'd think if Sanji's siblings were like normal people, and they just hated Sanji, they'd be like, fuck you, Sanji. I'm not helping you even in this situation. No, it's like, it goes like a switch in their heads, you know? Even when they had guns pointed at their heads, it's like, well, there's nothing we can do. It's the same thing now. It's like, all right, Big Mom's the enemy. We'll help Sanji. That's it. It's over. I mean, it's not like they're going to be okay with Sanji forever now. They're not going to be, like, good friends with him. It's just they can read the situation, not having these kind of emotions to tie them down. They notice that, like, okay, this is the enemy we have to face, so here we go. Sanji, whatever. Yeah, we're helping you. Okay, who cares? You know, and just do it. You know, there you go. Except for Reiju, of course, who already wants to help him, and Judgy, who honestly just doesn't have a freaking choice in this situation. And so if one wasn't enough, we get then two badass double-page spreads where we see each of the Vinsmoke siblings saving one of the Straw Hats or their allies, defeating or at least going into combat with one of the high-ranking members of the Big Mom Pirates. We have Sparking Red, Ichiji, attack Sparrow, Denki Blue, Nichiji, attack Oven, saving Chopper, Poison Pink, Reiju, kicking Smoothie, saving Nami, and then Winch Green Yonji, slamming Daifuku's Genie into the ground. Okay, now this is getting cool. This is getting cool, am I right? I mean, come on now. We've had pretty good fun at this tea party so far. We saw a wedding, the Tametebako, Big Mom's Elbaf backstory, and now we get this. Oh, speaking of the backstory, just really quick, I failed to mention last week that Streusen is probably the father of Sparrow, the first son of the Big Mom family. I mean, I don't really see how that matters at all, but there you go. I realized it last week. I just didn't see any real big deal to mention it, you know? Anyway, in the process of this going on, Nami falls to the ground after being saved by Reiju. Sanji picks her up, so get on that, shippers. They're so adorable together, aren't they? Come on, you should have kissed her, Sanji. In that moment, that would have been just perfect. Okay, anyway, Judgy proceeds to rally everybody together to get into the castle. Meanwhile, we cut back over to Don Feld, who has run a distance away, and he's about to open up the Tametebako, and we're like, oh shit, what's in it? What's in it? Come on. You know, even if it is a bomb, I really don't... I mean, Don Feld, he was just introduced. I mean, I don't want his head to blow up. I don't understand. I mean, I really don't care about the dude. I mean, I'm sure he's done some stuff that's pretty nefarious, but I don't really care about him one way or the other, so don't kill him off just yet. But no, he trips at the last second because of Big Mom screams. You know, she rears up for another scream. Don Feld falls over and drops the Tamatebako off the side of Whole Cake Chateau. So, a couple of options here now. Either the Tametebako is going to land on Whole Cake Island, and then maybe the Straw Hats or somebody will have to retrieve it on their way out, or it'll just land in the sea. And if it lands in the sea, that'll at least kind of make sense, because you know who else is in the sea? You got the fishmen around there. So if it falls in the sea, you'd think the fishmen would just find it and be like, oh, wait, isn't this our, like, fucking treasure from the Ryuga Kingdom? I should probably return this to King Neptune, and then they take back. So, I don't know what's going to go on with the Tametebako. I would like to think it wasn't just going to stay on Whole Cake Island. I would like to think it would fall into the sea, and then a fishman would find it. That would be my theory there. But we don't know what's inside of it, but it's at least relevant. Oda brought it up, so we're going to see what's going to happen with that later on. So, we cut back over to see Bege controlling his giant Big Father mech. He aims the cannons at Big Mom. He fires. They don't get a chance. You know, we don't know if they would have worked or not, because Sparrow throws up a candy wall to protect Big Mom in the process. I would assume if they're regular cannonballs, I would assume they really wouldn't have hit her at all. I mean, maybe if you just like pointed every single thing you got and just boom, 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 just unloaded on the bitch, maybe one would get through, but none of them get through. So Sparrow's there. You know, I kind of odd. I thought he got attacked by Nichiji, but whatever. Anyway, he states that he's covered the entire castle with candy to hold them in place, and then you have Dogtooth, who plugged all of the holes of Bege's cannons and guns on the castle with his mochi. So now the castle is now completely immovable. You can't get out of there. I'm definitely guessing it can't fly at this point, and they're completely defenseless. They can't fire any of their cannons. They try to fire some of the cannons, and they're all plugged up, so they just backfire on them. So they're like, oh shit, now you're trapped. And so the Big Mom pirates all kind of rally back together, and they're like, okay, you know, and you take one step outside that castle, and we're just gonna fucking ice you. Probably, I mean, they're going to launch a full-on offensive against the castle, you know, by what we see at the end of the chapter. But they're probably being a little bit, like, dubious not to actually just charge in, because they're probably aware that Bege might have some traps, because it is him. So just charging right into the front door, probably not a good idea. But, you know, they're like, you know, you take one step out of there, we're going to kill you, and we're eventually going to figure out a way to kill you anyway. I mean, yeah, you're a giant castle, man, and everything, that's cool, whatever, and you got the Power Rangers in there, but, I mean, come on now, we have an entire legion of the Yonkos prime fighting force. But anyway, we cut back to the inside of the castle, where we see all the Vinsmoke family gathering together, as well as we see Caesar and Luffy, Chopper, and Bege himself. Remember, Bege can manifest himself inside of his castle at the same time while being his castle, so that makes sense. And winding the chapter down, we have Luffy, who's still, you know, starry-eyed freaking out. I mean, granted, you don't see somebody transform into Howl's Moving Castle every freaking day. And he's like, oh my god, this is so crazy, I didn't know you could do this. Bege is just still puffing on his cigar. He's just like, okay, let's not start sucking each other's dicks just yet, alright? We're still kind of in tough shit here. This castle I have, you know, it is literally myself. As in, it's pretty impregnable, but it's not gonna hold out forever. I mean, they got a freaking Candyman out there, for God's sakes. I'm being held in place by fucking licorice. Yeah, so we should need to come up with a plan. And then right around that point, Bege begins to just clutch his head and then collapse. And he's like, oh shit, what's going on? What's going on is this. Big Mom is done with her death screeches. She's returned to her senses, which means any freaking hope of killing her now is just out the window. And she grabs the castle and just begins shouting right in Bege's ear, tower, whatever, and begins to, you know, severely beat the crap out of him, resulting in Bege beginning to bleed. As I figured, any damage that's done to the castle is done to himself. He begins to bleed, begins to fall on the ground, and then you have Big Mom, who is pissed off. How dare you betray me, Bege? And then that's the end of the chapter. So, oh yeah. And of course, are you guys ready for this? Next week, on a break. Yes, love it. Okay, so, lot of shit to unpack here. So first off, Tametebako brought back into the center stage. I really hope that gets brought back later on, whether it be, you know, Whole Cake Island, somebody else on Whole Cake Island comes across it, maybe, you know, Jinbei or the others maybe will find it on their way out. They still have to escape the island somehow. Either that or it's fallen into the ocean and one of the fishermen get their hands on it, or hell, it just stays at the bottom of the ocean for the rest of the series. I highly doubt that, but it's certainly an option, I guess. So right now, we're in really a tough predicament here, okay? Yeah, I mean, it's badass. We got the Vinsmokes all in their battle gear ready to go, and you got that going on. You know, I'm thinking there might be a way that they can maybe summon their full fighting force, the Vinsmokes, as in their entire country and all of their clone army. That might be an option there to summon them and get them up there so that they can have, because the Vinsmokes obviously would have flying machines at their disposal. They can manage to have, we've even seen their ships being capable of climbing up the red line, so why couldn't they climb right up to the top of the Whole Cake Plateau? That's an idea. And then you have the Germa's army right against the Big Mom army, so that would be something there. But as for Bege, I think he's pretty much done. I don't think Bege is going to be their saving grace here. He's only managed to save them very briefly by just creating his castle, providing a thin layer of security. But now that Big Mom's on a rampage and just pummeling the shit out of Bege's castle, you know, that thing's gonna come crumbling down and he's gonna have a freaking brain, you know, he's gonna have a concussion after this is over. His skull's gonna be fractured at a few places. Brûlé got taken back by the other members of the Big Mom Pirates, so now she can't be useful at all. That train is done. That's over. That's, you know, left the station. So yeah, I really can only see at this moment, unless they can figure out some way to distract the Big Mom Pirates long enough, they still have to get off the plateau. And in order to do that, you're going to have the ability to teleport like Brûlé, which you don't have anymore, or you're going to have some flying machine at your disposal. And the only people that I know that would have that at this point would be the Germas. So I'm hoping that, you know, Judgy and whatever, they figure out a way to, you know, summon their army and get the hell out of there. Here's another idea that I thought of. You know, considering all the Germas have these badass raid suits, don't you think there'd be one for Sanji? I know Sanji left the Vinsmokes, but I'm just saying, like, you'd think that if they were designing these children since birth to become these soldiers, you'd think there would already be a battle suit for Sanji all ready to go. Because they talked about how the Vinsmoke siblings did not grow up like normal kids. They started out as kids, but then they mentioned something about like an outer skeleton beginning to form. So they probably just skipped over their puberty and their adolescence and jumped right from like little kids, like the caterpillar stage, right to the butterfly stage. In Reiju's case, quite literally. But you'd think there would be like a badass suit that Sanji could wear. And what would his epitaph be? What would his title be? You know, like Ichiji's, you know, sparking red, and then electric blue, and then winch green, and then poison pink. Oh, little side note with Reiju, this was cool. When Reiju fought against Smoothie and kicked her, she injected like a massive amount of poison into her arm, and then later you see Smoothie wringing out her arm with her juice powers, getting the poison out of her. So that's a pretty clever way that you could use that Devil Fruit ability. But that's cool that, you know, Reiju has the poison capabilities with her power. One more thing, by the way, I have to mention regarding Reiju is that, okay, I know this is like video game and anime logic, but it always makes me laugh every time this trope is used, okay? So look at this scene again right here, the badass spread with all the Vinsmoke siblings and Judgy in there. So we see all of the male characters here wearing actual armor, full body raid suits, you know, covering, you know, everything but their head essentially. They have armor on their gloves and their feet and everything like that. But then you get to Reiju, whose raid suit consists of a mini skirt and a just deep as fuck V-neck exposing a shit ton of her cleavage. And that's what she gets. I mean, she's badass. It's like she doesn't really even need the armor. I'm sure if she really needed it, she could get it. But, you know, that's just how it goes when it comes to anime and video games. It's like, you know, men's armor in Skyrim is like this badass super thing, chest guard and greaves and a giant sword and a shield and like, I am Kilgore, and puts on the helmet. And then you get to women's armor, which is like just, you know, here's some chainmail in the shape of a bra. I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. I'm ready for combat. Anyway, I can't wait to see how the Straw Hats are going to get out of this one. Tune in 2 weeks for Chapter 870, and we'll be seeing the winding down, the final climactic event of this arc. I feel like we're getting to that point here. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Tekking101 signing out. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Sarah. Sorry, Jim, Dave. That other guy that I said died. I'm sorry, man.